Hey guys, welcome to a Love Your City podcast with Movement Australia. We're so excited for you to watch this. I'm actually sitting here with my dad. Yes, this is my dad, not my brother. I'm kidding. We made sure that we wore different colors so that you could distinguish from us. Can you tell us a little bit about yourself? Name also.
His dad. My name is Hengki Widjaja. So it's a bit hard to spell it and David. So I'm part of a local church here called City Life. I'm also part of a ministry called Together for the Illawarra Breakfast, Illawarra Prayer Breakfast. Part of the Movement Day, team here in Australia. So it has been a blessing, and then I just love seeing this podcast as well. Can learn so much from other people.
Absolutely. And in this podcast, we get to go into the story of Together for Illawarra, a little bit of a father and son perspective on what our journey towards being into the unity story of Illawarra has been, but also what is coming up after 12 years of journeying together just with us. What is happening now this year with Illawarra, and we're so excited. I really enjoyed this. So continue watching, watch the whole thing, and write down in the comments what you love, and we'd love to hear from you. Hi Dad, how you feeling?
I'm good, thank you.
Well, how's your day been? We're in the immense heat at the moment. It's like 33, 35 degrees.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah, it's actually quite hot. But here we are.
Here we are. We are doing a really unique podcast, and the uniqueness is we're currently in our living room. Does it feel homey?
Yep, only except the mic. Yeah. But we don't, just for everyone, we don't usually talk with the mic, but it's a special occasion.
Nor do we usually have a camera pointing towards us when we have a conversation.
Yeah, that's
but
right.
hopefully that shouldn't be the matter. I'm really excited for this. Doing the podcasts, I was going through One Church Penrith, talking with Andrew, and talking with Greg.
Yep.
And the thing that kept reoccurring through all the podcasts is the realizing that Baba's journey towards unity inside Illawarra, just getting straight into it, actually made my worldview so different compared to other friends that I've had. So when Greg and Andrew talked about the theology and philosophy of unity, I realized that I got to experience because Papa put me under your wing and let me see what Papa was working on. And so I'm so excited for this because I want to get into the story of what pulled you in from businessman, father, into person who cares about unity and for Illawarra.
Yes.
So where shall we start for you?
Yes, we can start, I guess, from the story, which is always good in the beginning. By the way, I love Greg, I love Andrew and Pastor Ian and the others. I think they are the legends. But in terms of the stories like this, so I'm a business person, so I'm part of church leadership, but I'm primarily in the business. So around 2012, I believe, there was this doom and gloom here in Illawarra. So there was one of the largest company here let go about 800 of their staff and contractors, etc. And I think I hear your friends. I think when they come here, I hear them. They say, because I talk to them. I like to talk with David French just to find out what he's doing. And then he said that, after graduate I'm going to Sydney and I'm going to go there. And then I heard David also say, you remember?
I remember.
Your friend's dad lost the job and they have to move to a different city. So then I start to see like, okay, this there's a bit of a doom and gloom in the Wollongong area, and so what's going to happen if the people are still leaving the city? So and then so that is kind of, there's something in here, like what is happening. Like I never thought about it before, but something happened. I said like I love the city, I believe God put us here, and I said what's going to happen with the city? Someone need to fight for the city. So then I spoke to one of the leaders here in Sydney, part of the Sydney Prayer Breakfast. So I chat with him and say, what can I do? I'm just just an IT guy. I cannot hire a lot of people and all those things. What should I do? And this is something that he said that is really profound for me. And he said like this: if you want to have a sustainable change in your city, you have to start with prayer. Why it's profound? Because it's so simple. Then I asked him, but we do pray. And he said, I'm not talking about prayer inside the church. I'm praying the business people and the people in Illawarra praying together for the unity of the city, for the region. And then that just sparked something. Then I came back and spoke with a few peoples. And then let's start the Illawarra Prayer Breakfast. Initially, it is something that sparked in my heart, and talking to the right person and getting a team going, which is, they have the apparently they also have the unity in their heart, and we're praying for the city. And so if you ask me how I come about to do this, it wasn't planned. I stumble upon. A lot of time in my life, I'm stumbling, and then find out, like, oh wow, there's something that's bigger than that. So that is how it's come. It started with the prayer, and then from the prayer, I start to understand people talking about unity. I did not know what's all about. Right. And I hear the story about Toowoomba, and I went to Toowoomba and visit Pastor Ian, and then there will be another story. But the highlight was we are two adult men. We were crying together, talking about our city in a cafe in Toowoomba. It's so weird.
Right.
It's so weird. And I can see people looking at us, but
the presence of the Lord is just there with you.
It's just more about, understanding the story and hearing the pain about the city. And I start to understand, and that's where my journey started.
From my perspective, it looked like Dad was a businessman, was a small church pastor, and then suddenly he transformed into going, now we need to transform the city. And I'm like, whoa, this is such a big turn. Like, your life is busy enough already, and now suddenly God pulled you towards this grand concourse, right? Like to this highway of a new journey. And I remember these stories, and it's hearing them again, it's just been so good. Then you decided, so you talked with Pastor Ian, you talked with other people, and it was pointed towards prayer. Prayer was the direction and the focus. Yeah. What did that look like for Papa? What was the outworking?
So we started with the Illawarra Prayer Breakfast. Well, initially called Wollongong Prayer Breakfast, and then encouraging at the region, Shell Harbour, we have Shelbourne Prayer Breakfast, and then we start to combine together. We call it Illawarra Prayer Breakfast. That is all started. And then we do understand that everything has to start with the prayer. But out of that prayer, the beauty about the prayer is like this. When we are talking about Heavenly Father, we are actually admitting to one another that we are brothers. Yeah. So in a way, unity is already there. Unity is actually expressed in the Lord's Prayer, that we are brother and sister. And then so the journey is how that is going to look like. So for us, basically from the prayer, we got an expression of collaboration. So start with the prayer, and then there's an expression of collaboration. And the word that we like to use is relational unity. And then recently, the words that I start using and people start using about oneness. Yeah. But that is kind of what it is. So it is more that we are one, because that you have something that I like, and there's something in it for me and something in it for you, and let's work together. But it's more about, hey, you are my brother. We should get to know each other, and so that's how we express. Yeah.
So what that looked like was, did you first? I actually don't know this part of the story. You said it was Illawarra Prayer Breakfast. Yes. But was that the first prayer where multiple business leaders and pastors sat down on a table and prayed?
No, this is the beauty about this. The beauty about it, I thought I was the first. That's the beauty about it. And then God, through the journey, give me a humbleness, humility, and then talking to the people before us and all those things, and a lot of greater things has happened. Yeah. So the beauty about this thing is, when you're walking in the unity, you start actually, there's a prayer, and you cannot escape with the humility, because then you should understand that you are not it. But there is a lot of greater things, and a lot of you just part of the story. Yeah. So that's the beauty. So if can I say further on this one?
Go for it. Yeah.
So recently, what God spoke to me last year is that like this: don't create a competing story, but be part of the story in God's story in Illawarra. So then I start to realize that the ministry of the Illawarra Prayer Breakfast Together for Illawarra is just one part, one dot of God's greater story in our region. So by doing that, I'm basically, we are forcing ourselves to listening what is also happening, and we are choose to be part of that story, rather than we become the main character. We are happy to be the cast. What is that? The supporting.
That's right. Yeah. The supporting role. That's such a good concept, because I think it's so easy with, like, let's be honest here. Pastors especially post-COVID, have been feeling the grunt of it. They've been feeling the loneliness. They've been feeling the burning out. Yeah. And with all the pain, all the what do you call it? Challenges that they have to go through. Yeah. It's very easy to silo your story towards, man, I need to figure this out myself.
That's a good point.
What I love of what Papa has heard was, you don't have, your story isn't just siloed to you. Your story can be tied into the greater story of Illawarra, that there is a factor of, you're not alone.
Yes.
You get to be in a part of this. the worst way to put this is that you get to be a part of the Avengers of Illawarra, right? Like, all the stories and little things, they all combine to this great big finale.
And we need to, now you mentioned that we need to talk, who is the Iron Man? Anyway, let's move back.
I'm hearing it as the grandfather of Marvel is the grandfather of anyways. So I love that, and that, by the way, changed my perspective a lot, because when I first started young adults, when I first started youth, it was so easy to kind of go, I know what I want to do. I know what's good for my people. I need to carry my people to, the promised land or wherever they need to go. But then realizing, wait a minute, God didn't just call me for these people in front of me.
Yeah.
These people should be with the rest of the churches and all that stuff.
Okay.
So that was beautiful. It was an eye-opening thing. Now fast forward to today.
Yes.
How many years of since you started this journey?
For myself is 12 years. But there's so many people before me.
So that's half my lifetime. Since we got into the story.
Yes,
since
that's
we
right.
got to put in the story.
We are part of the story. Yeah, correct.
Since we finally got to put ourselves in. How, after 12 years and it going strong, how is that looking like today? What have you seen has been the impacts now that pastors and business leaders are praying with one another? Have you seen the impact 12 years later?
So in a human size, and sometimes I allow this negative thought to enter my mind, is that I have not done a lot of things compared than the other regions, and I know it's not entirely helpful to think about that. However, what has actually been thought in my mind is like this. So by the way, there's couple of times that I actually think, like, why I'm doing this, I better stop. If I stop, what's going to happen? Yeah. But then I feel this, and I feel a heart, and I say, like, if you stop, no one actually carrying that annoying voice and sound in the region that we need to be together.
Yeah.
So I feel like I'm that annoying voice that reminding a busy pastor, with all the respect, which I'm respecting them, but keep reminding them that we need to work together and we are one. So if that my role is that annoying voice that continue reminding them, hopefully not too annoying for the pastor in Illawarra, but if I stop, then no one actually will nudge that. Yeah. So I'm happy just to be that small, not still comforting voice, but annoying voice. That's to remind them that, hey, there's a greater thing, there is a work together. So that is where I am at the moment.
I love, imagine that on a title card, Hengki, the small but not still annoying
Yep,
voice.
yep, that will be my role.
Yeah, but that's really cool. One of the things that I felt like was birthed because of it, from my perspective, has been the Shine, the Strength programs. Of course, this is siloed in terms of what our family is doing, but there's actually been a lot more out of that too. Yeah. Can you tell me on what some of the projects, the things that's been happening now?
Yeah. That is really, really good. You bring this, like, the way I see the relational unity and the prayer is a platform for other ministry to go further. So, for example, City Women Illawarra, which is from the City Women in Toowoomba. So I remember when I first had actually, Lydia said about City Women in Illawarra, I actually look up, Letitia, and then I noticed her word is kind of like, we only possible because of the unity of the pastor.
Right.
And I was like, okay. So City Women in Illawarra was birthed out of that prayer, out of that relationship and trust with the minister of one another. And then we have a few of a City Serve and Shell Harbour and City Serve in Wollongong. And then we have other initiative actually happening as well. For example, local churches in the expression of the local, being part of the Are You OK Day, being part of, helping the local community and kind of like that. So basically, from the prayer, we are moving into the mission and all those things. So we have the bike championship, I think about 3 years ago, and the churches come together and kind of how we can work together, so we actually collaborate and sharing the gospel in a different flavor. Some of them will be direct, some of them will be prayer, some of them will be it's just beautiful. It's about like 15 churches. They are reaching out to the foreigner, the tourists actually in Illawarra. And what is happening now, this is 2024, next year 2025, there will be a Winnie Entertainment, there will be an event which is it's called Hope for the Illawarra, which is 2025. So we're expecting, I think if not mistaken, about 4,600 people, and also adult and children. And then this is actually next year is the 25 years after Harvest 2000 when this actually began to happen.
Wow.
So I cannot take credit for any of this, like, and not any of us actually can take. But the way I see it is, the relationship is a platform for this to be happen to be actually easier to happen. I cannot say easier; it's actually hard work, a lot of hard work. But it is actually make it better. Does that make sense?
At the very least, it started the conversation that pastors could have with one another.
Correct.
To start doing it with one another. I think that was such a good summary. The reason why is because it answers a question that I actually see a lot being on Movement Day and seeing the comments.
Yes.
So many people are so concerned about how can you impact a city if you get pastors praying with each other and talking to one another? And from what we're seeing from the story here, when we started with prayer, as was that first thing, that allowed, and business leaders, pastors praying with one another, it allowed the opportunity for us to collaborate. It allowed the opportunity for us to extend our hand to the lost, the broken inside Illawarra.
Yes.
And now this good news of Hope Illawarra reaching 4,000, potentially 4,000 people, that's not done alone. That's not done alone. And so it shows what, for me, it just gives me such the energy right now with me is like buzzing, because when we just started with prayer, it felt like the cause and effect happened. 4,000 people get together, Hope for the Illawarra, and we get to be together, and we have good relationship with many of the pastors in Illawarra, and it's so great. They're one phone call away.
Yes.
Yeah.
So, lastly, though, I want to make this point. This is what I learned. This is what I learned, and I'm not be right, but this is what I learned. So we start with prayer. Why? Because when you pray, you focus on God. When you focus on God, you focus on Jesus, focus on Christ. And when you focus on Christ, then you cannot help yourself not to be humble. And you cannot help yourself that you are talking about yourself, but you are focusing on Jesus. And then, because when you focus on Jesus, then you start to be able to understand about the relational unity looks like, how the oneness looks like. So without Jesus and without come to the foot of the cross, we will not be humble enough. We will not have enough space in our mind to think about other people.
Yeah.
Because we are so caught up with our own agenda.
Yeah.
And then through that, and if it's God's willing, the Lord's willing, there's someone idea, then there will be a collaboration out of it. So people not being push for the collab, basically that we need to work together. Yeah, it's like putting a basketball team, and it's like, I know you all hate each other, but for this we need to win. Yeah, and let's just be nice to each other in the next 40 minutes. Yeah, and it's not like that. But we are kind of coming on from, hey, we like each other, we know we are one, and let's do things together. So it's a different thing. So and then that is a very important. So last thought though, I just want to share like this. I want to share a story.
Yeah.
So Illawarra Prayer Breakfast, the launch of Prayer Breakfast, that's February. The night before, the speaker that meant to speak let me know that couldn't make it. So I remember I called 9 o'clock at night. I call the others, the team, the team into Prayer Breakfast, and I say, "What's happened? No one gonna speak." And they say like, "Hallelujah! It must be one of us to speak. So Hengki, can you speak?" But I can't speak. I do not know these people and all those things. So anyway, I speak my story and everything, etc., etc. Because I'm so nervous, right? Yeah. Speaking, first time in front of 60 minister and pastor.
And during that time, you had a bit of a less Aussie accent. You had more of an Asian accent back then.
Maybe. I do not know. So anyway, I was focusing on that. And then at the end of it, so I spoke to people. I talked to people. And there's a few tears. And I asked like, "Oh, wow, what happened?" And I said, like, "Yes, you just speak." And this person told me like this. I cry and I said, "Why?" He said like, "Here I am." He's an Australian guy, born here in Australia. Here I am listening from someone with an, not Aussie face, with a broken English, and telling me that I need to pray for my city.
Yeah.
And I said, so I do not know whether I should be happy or should be not happy, because like they're saying I have a broken English and all those things. And I say like, oh, and we have this saying, Warwick Marsh and I, we have this saying like, if God can use a donkey, can you use me? So I was like, that's okay, I can be the donkey with the broken English and keep telling people, hey, we need to work together.
Oh, I love that story. This feels like a reel of what my past half of my life has been.
Yes.
Which has been really good. Ending on that note, we'll continue being the donkey.
Yep.
We'll continue.
Well, at least for me.
We'll continue striving for oneness. We'll continue seeing hope for the Illawarra. Yes. There may be some people inside Illawarra right now, or even in their own church. What is one thing you want to encourage them as a kind of last thought for them?
Faithfulness, even the small things. I know that I know that I'm just have to continue to be part of my things. So we have the body of Christ here, So if I can only just be the pinky that, and I'm gonna continue just be that and be faithful on doing that. And then yes, and when you accept your role, when you accept there is a greater things rather than your own ministry, it's just such a beautiful feeling.
Yeah.
Because one thing that we do not want as a leader is when we finish not well, basically, and a lot of them is because of pride. But humility is the antidote for that. And by recognizing and allowing that God can work not only through us but through other churches that I don't even know, and sometimes you may not be agreeing with their theology, but God works in those things, and it's just such a humbling experience.
Yeah. Well, thank you for the conversation, Va.
That's good.
This has been really good. I hope we get to do round 2 once I go through it. Maybe we can do it in another place in our house.
Yes, another place. Perhaps in Newcastle, in Rick's place.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, thank you for everyone for listening. I hope you are all blessed. And
Thank you, David.
Thank you.